And with that, I want to welcome you to the first game in my favourite series of all time, Monster Hunter. In my personal opinion, this game is amazing, and by the end of this LP I want to prove to you that it is truly amazing. So let's get started with a new game. Hit a pause there for a second to wait for it to load. And there we go, loading screens. Of course we have loading screens. And character creation. What game from Japan or Capcom is complete without character creation? I don't know so much that Capcom, I don't know how often they do character creation since I'm not really a massive fan of them. Whatever, what I'm going to do here is enter my YouTube name since my actual name is not that amazing. It's rather boring to be honest, so we'll go with HazzD. I'm male and I'm going to have that face and go with that hairstyle. Most of this customization, it's not really that important since you are going to be wearing a helmet for most of this game. Well, once you get a helmet, so you won't really see your face all that much. So do not worry if you don't exactly like how your characters turned out, it doesn't really matter. But what does matter is the voice. You're going to hear this throughout the entire game, so be prepared. If you press X, you'll be able to hear what they sound like. I personally like Type 10. That voice, for some reason, I just like that one. Maybe it's because the one I used as a kid. Network mode is basically the online of this game, which no longer exists, unfortunately, because they've taken down the servers for this game to make room for other better, well, not better games, but other newer games, possibly the future games, you know, like Try and that sort of one. Gonna save quick while I'm talking. So it's unfortunate that there isn't an online anymore, but it doesn't matter, this game is still awesome without it, so let's welcome to the world of Monster Hunter. And with that, we have started a new adventure and a new LP. With another loading screen, of course! Loading screen. But of course. And once the intro cutscene loads, I want to welcome you to Kokoto Village, which is something I can't pronounce, because unfortunately for this game, there is no official pronunciation for most of the things in it. So I'm going to pronounce it however I feel like, and whatever I feel like, despite how it's spelled. And if we go into the one of two houses in this entire village, so it's obviously ours, and we're sleeping in the middle of the day. Of course we are. What kind of teenager slash man creature thing that lives in a cave really doesn't sleep in the middle of the day? I got up early today to record this, but normally I'll be asleep in the middle of the day, so it's pretty accurate for most of the gamers who actually play this. But now that we're up, we can see that we're gonna head out on an adventure by pressing square to go out here into the Kokoto Village. So this is where most of the game is going to take place if you're not out on a quest, which is the main purpose of this game. Just go out on quest. If you hold down R2, you can run, which will make getting around a lot quicker. You have infinite run here, so do not worry. But what we want to do, instead of going around and talking to absolutely everyone and spending 20 minutes doing that and boring you to tears, I'm going to talk to the main man himself, the village chief, which is this guy, who looks sort of like a goblin. Never mind. What is a hunter, and what does it mean to be one? Sometimes alone, sometimes with friends, unless they've taken down the servers so that you can't play online anymore. Unfortunate, but true. Known far and wide as superior hunter, collector, renowned as a collector of fine, rare articles, loved, respected, and trusted by one and all. What path you take is completely up to you. If you're really serious about wanting to be a first-rate hunter, let me share what I've learned with you. ... Everything I've learned in this village is the hero of Kokoto. That's how you, well, that's how you spell it, but it's not how you pronounce it, so be aware. Again, I'm going to pronounce everything in this game wrong, and whatever. But anyway, here's a bit of story. He was once the hero of Kokoto, or however you pronounce it, and basically, we'll get more into that later on. The shop just next to the door is the only place in this village that deals in weapons and armor. First of all, get yourself outfitted with some equipment. Basically, what he's telling us is to go over there by the shed thing over here. This over here is where you buy weapons. I'll go more into what you can actually do there in a later episode because this video has already gone on for about 8 minutes or so, and I really just want to get into the meat of the game as I explained earlier, which is quests. So, if you want to be a first-rate hunter, there are all sorts of challenges you have to meet. What level of quest would you like to take? Right now we can only do urgent quests. They are divided up by stars, as you can see. Obviously it goes from 1 to 5. Urgent quests are quests that normally progress the story or unlock new quests, so whenever you see them, if you feel prepared for it, go for it. They will unlock more things and more of the game to enjoy. So, here we go. First quest, Gathering Quest. They are normally marked with a green sort of tint in the corner and a green title, and also in a minute you'll see by a green icon that will appear over our head, but you'll see that in a second. First, I want to read through this. It's a basic quest, find raw meat. There is a reward of 50Z or Zenny, I'm not quite sure what it actually is, but it's 50 something, I don't know. I'm just going to say Z because I don't really know what it means. Contract, which is 0 for this quest because it's the first quest, come on, they're not going to penalise you for that. Basically later on you're going to have to put down deposits to do quests, because if you didn't do that and you failed the quest, you would get off scot-free without any kind of repercussions for failing the quest. So basically you're going to start losing money. The further in you go, the more money you're going to lose, but also the more you're going to gain. You're not just going to get 50 every time, you'll start getting into the thousands, which is quite nice. So for a time, we've got 50 minutes. Later on, this will get shorter, depending on what quest you're doing. It's basically just to limit you, so instead of you being out there for hours hunting some monster, it limits you so that you have to complete it within this time. Most quests in this game, if you play them, you know, intense and you do it like full guns blazing with every available weapon and item, as I'll explain later on, you can easily do most quests under 50 minutes. There's only a few where I think, yeah, that's going to take quite a while and it'll be quite close. But we'll get into that later, as I've said many times, and I'll explain why later on. Yeah, that's how this first episode is going to go. But never mind, we're going to go to the Forest and Hills, which is the first starting area that you'll ever go to. There are no special conditions. Later on there might be a few special conditions. I can't think of any off the top of my head, but there might be. This is classified as a 1-star quest. It's to deliver 2 pieces of raw meat or deliver 2 PCs worth of raw meat. The failure conditions is reward 0. Basically, the reward for the quest will go down by a third of the total every time you die until you get down to 0 reward and you fail the quest. So basically you've got 3 lives and then that's it, you fail. So it's alright with how many lives you get, but when you get into later quests that will seem like so few because you will die a lot if you're not prepared. Time over, basically you run out of time like I explained. What else we got? We've got the information for this quest. The requester is the village chief, so this is just going to add a bit of story. Some quests have like a little bit of text that's like, oh, some monster is eating my sheep, please save me, even though there are no sheep in this entire game. Yeah, it's weird. You'll see later on as we get further into the game. But for now, first, a little trial. Hunt down an Amphenol and harvest the meat. Deliver 2 pieces of raw meat and you'll complete your first quest. So, let's start this quest up. We've got a green, I don't know what that is, leather, leaf, I don't know, it's something above my head. I don't know what that is, but it's just an icon to say you are doing a gathering quest. It will change colour depending on what quest you do. I think there are 4 different varieties. We'll see 3 of them by the end of this LP. The 4th one is an online exclusive thing, which I can't access and show off. Unfortunate, but true. So, here we go. We are now in the Forest and Hills. And as you saw, Wisdom of the Chief. This is basically just tutorial stuff. You press triangle, Wisdom of the Chief will come up. It's a list of information that you need to know to just get into this game. I'm going to explain most of it myself, and I'm not going to use this because I don't want to read pages and pages of information off and bore you to tears, especially in the first episode. So, what we want to do first is run over here with R2 and open this chest with X. This chest is a supply chest. Basically, it will supply you with items that can be useful on the quest, and you can take them if you want. This is a map. There's a map, it shows the area off, and it's a supply item. Basically, the yellow text down there is just to say that this item, if you leave the quest or finish the quest or whatever you do, you won't be able to take this item back to the village. It stays on the quest. So, that's a map, and I'll show that off in a second. Mini whetstones, they restore the sharpness of your weapon. It's also a supply item. As you can see up at the top there, you've got a green bar, which is your health, a yellow bar, which is your stamina, and underneath that you've got a sword icon. That will change depending on what weapon type you're using. There are two types, we'll explain that later. I'm saying that a lot because this episode has already gone on for about 13 minutes and I've yet to do anything interesting, so we'll explain that later. Basically, these will sharpen that little icon there, and it will change depending on what level of sharpness you're at. So if it drops down, you can resharpen it back up to its full level, which is pretty nice and important when it comes to hitting monsters with thick armor. These are rations. They increase the length of that yellow bar at the top. Over time, that will drop down as your stamina decreases, and you'll be able to run for less time. Basically, this stocks it back up and just increases it when it's full. So that's very useful, and I'll show you off in a second. First aid, they're basically health items. You know how health works. When the green bar goes down, you can increase it back up. These are bullets, bow guns, which is the other type of weapon that doesn't have the sword icon. I'll show off what they have instead later on. Again, later on. Basically, these are infinite bullets. They're really, really weak bullets. I'm pretty sure you won't find any weaker bullets than these, but there are infinite of them, and it's just so that you have something to shoot in case you run out of bullets on a quest. They are very useful. I don't know why I picked them up, since they are absolutely worthless to me, since they're actually worth 0 zenny if I was to sell them. Binoculars lets you observe from a distance. If I take these next to the quest, exit the chest with 0, not the quest. I don't want to leave the quest. If I have a look at these, if you press square, you can move around in this 3D sort of first-person view and then zoom in. That's a lovely picture of the dirt there. As you can see, a lot of the backgrounds in this game are very pixelated if you zoom in. However, the foreground, I don't know why I'm crouching, the foreground is a lot more detailed, and to be honest, it's more the foreground you're going to be concentrating on, so it doesn't really matter. First aid rations, I'm going to take the rations now just to boost that up. If you take 2 rations, it will increase that to full. Each ration will increase the stamina bar by 1 bit, so I personally like just extending it to full so I can run for the longest amount of time instead of boosting it back up when it goes low. It won't matter because it will just decrease whenever, so just be aware of that. And now we've got this lovely panning view of the first area and our prey for this quest, the Amphenor. As you can tell, like I said before, the backgrounds are not as detailed as the foreground, so obviously they were concentrating on what they thought was important, which is the monsters, which have pretty good AI for a PS2 game, in my opinion. And they're a lot more detailed than a lot of the other things in the game. If I jump down here, that was more of a fall, but I jumped down, you'll see this, Amphenor. And if my editing's very good, a bio has just popped up. This bio is something I want to add into every time we see a new monster. I want to have a bio pop up just to have a bit of information and just sort of information really. It's just to tell you what the creature looks like, what its name is, what it's classed as. This one is classed as a herbivore. It's a medium-sized monster. If it's got weaknesses or if it uses elements or ailments. Elements are obvious things like fire, you know, like a fire-breathing dragon. Ailments are things like poison and things like that. And this one's weakness is fire, even though it's not really worth it since these things are really weak. So don't be worried about having to have an element to take this thing down. It's also got what you can carve off of it, which are items you can gather from the creature. As you can see, you've got raw meat, which is what we're here for, and small monster bones, which are used for a mechanic I'll explain, I think, in the next episode, so be prepared for that. I'm just going to start cutting this down so that I can get those items while I'm explaining a few more things. This thing, it also has information in the game just to give it a bit of description, which I have added into the bios if you're interested in that sort of thing, because I particularly am. It's a Amphenor, as I said. They are hunted as a food source. These creatures are preyed upon by both hunters and monsters alike. Usually timid, but in packs they defend themselves with surprising strength. You can find that text in-game if you go to a certain vendor and buy what's called a book, and it's just got a bit of information in there. Pretty much that's all it is. I decided I'll just add that in here, just so it's just so it's available. I think that's all I need to explain about the BIOS, so that'll disappear now. I see. Editing magic. It's incredible, isn't it? Or I've just edited really badly. just so I can troll myself. But anyway, now that we've got 2 pieces of raw meat, we could go hand this quest in and complete it, but I don't want to do that. I want to grab just a bit more raw meat, because the next quest that we're going to do requires raw meat, and it will save us a bit of time. So I'm just going to grab some more from this, but what I want to explain is the combat. The combat is mainly located on the right analog stick, sorry. By moving it in different directions, you can swing your sword and do certain attacks. I'll go and explain more about what this sword and shield can actually do, like its combos and stuff, in a later episode, because I don't want to really explain that right now, because it's quite intensive and how in-depth it can get. Because we're already up to 19 minutes, and I really want to end this quest and this episode before I get into a really long episode, just because it would be really daunting for anyone viewing it. And if you managed to view to this point, thank you very much. But anyway, coming over to this red chest, if you press X, you'll drop off the meat. There we go. And now that we've done that, I want to come in here and just show off something quickly. If you come into this bed, press X, you will heal up to 4. So that's quite nice. It will just heal your health, not your stamina. It will also remove any ailments, like poison, for example. It will get rid of that for you. So if you're nearby the base camp, which is marked by the hut icon on the map, I didn't go over the map, but there you go. There's a map on the side there at the right above the items. It will just heal you up, and it's very nice just to have a free heal every once in a while. Okay, so now that we've completed the quest is complete. Glory and victory is ours. We can take our reward materials. In here, we'll get supplied with items that may be useful or may not be useful to take back to the village to use for different and varying things. We've got crickets, which are a fishing icon. I know, item. I know people are probably like, oh no, fishing, oh, it's going to be boring, but don't worry, it's very limited and you hardly ever have to do it, so don't worry about that. We've got small monster bones. They're one of the cards from the Amphenor, and you get them in a lot of places. They're just a common item. Mystery bones are less common, but they are pretty much, they're less useful than the small monster bones, since they are just as common, but they're used less. As you just saw, we got a reward. We got 50Z. We would have got our contract fee back for completing it. We got our deposit back. Our current money is 1,550 zenny, and I want to end the reward payment screen. Now that we've done that, I'm going to save and have a loading screen, of course. Why would I not have a loading screen? Who knows? There we go. We've completed our first quest, so I'd say this is probably a really good place to leave it off, since it's now at about 20 minutes worth of episode, which is really long for a first episode, and I'm sorry about that. So next time we're going to hopefully do some more quests, hopefully do more things, just show off some more things. Yeah, more things. We're going to be doing more things, hopefully. Never mind, we're going to probably go to our next quest, and I'm probably going to show off what you can do with weapons and armor, which will be pretty interesting, hopefully. So until next time, like, comment, subscribe, and all the other good stuff. I've been HazzD, and I'll see you next time.